This is Femi Anikulapo-Kuti on M-Top Live.
Hello, it's Antonia. We are here in Nigeria with someone, an amazing mogul, someone that I'm greatly inspired by, and whoa, this is happening now today. We are here with Femi Kuti.
Anikulapo-Kuti.
Yes. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Wow. So where do we begin? The son of the world's international mogul artist, not even just an artist, activist, instrumentalist, Fela himself. And on top of that, your grandmother, another activist, political supporter, been through a lot, creating you, who you are today. How is that possible? What really pushed you to get inspired to?
What, to play music?
Well, no. Well, because I know it's deeper than music. I know it's really more about, the message, your being, what's pushing you, your motivation, and it goes.
Most likely my upbringing.
Yeah.
Seeing the things I saw as a child, as a teenager.
Right.
My surroundings, of course.
Right.
When you live on the battlefield, you can't but it's not inspiration. You cannot but be concerned about the things you see,
right,
or hear or feel.
Right, I bet. Now, you started playing the saxophone at 15?
Yes. 15, going 16, yes.
And keyboard as well.
Very badly.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I picked it up in 2002.
Wow.
And I picked it up to enhance my creativity.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was way too late. I was over 40 then.
Okay.
But I wanted to find a style to change my music and the sound of my music.
Right.
And I use it as an undercurrent in my music. And so I found a style. And so I wouldn't call myself really a pianist, because I know there are thousands of great pianists who just go
right.
I just block some chords, I find some rhythm, some melody, but this is just to enhance the dynamic parts of my horn section or the rhythm,
right,
or just to enhance the creativity, generally speaking.
Yeah, that's intriguing. I love that. It definitely enhances it. Now, you were born in London?
Yes.
Then came to Lagos?
I was born and brought up. I'm born in London in 62, brought back here in 63.
Oh.
Never been back.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Great choice. Great decision. So now, I saw, your mother is also a great influence as well to you, right?
Yes. A very huge influence, my mother. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Explain to me, how was that relation?
Yeah, my father wasn't the conventional father, so my mother she was the pillar of the home, really. So I think I have more of her character. She was probably more steadfast, more homely, more dedicated to making sure her family was safe together. I think basically keeping us safe. My father's life was very chaotic, and she was very protective of her children, and we saw her pain in that respect. So, her concern generally for her immediate family.
Right.
And always worrying for my father. So, we saw all this. So I think this was very influential on my life.
Wow. That's inspiring. So that's obviously great, because you need to have the balance, the yin to the yang.
My father was more, we saw the beatings, we saw his fight, we saw his courage, his discipline, his music. But, he was involved in the storm. He hardly had that time for um, for fatherly love as such. So I think we could have strayed anyway if my mother wasn't there to ensure we were steadfast in our lives.
Right.
And so I think I owe a huge, I owe a huge gratitude to her, and my maternal mother as well.
Right.
My maternal mother was, because after I moved to my father's house, I became very arrogant and all those negative things.
Right.
And then when I moved back to my mother, my maternal grandmother was like, I don't care who the hell you are, when you are here, better be grounded.
Right.
And that talking to was what like made me see life in a very positive perspective, which completely changed my outlook. And I think that really settled me. I became more of a serious musician.
Yes.
It wasn't about living off my father's legacy. I
Right.
started to look for my bearing.
Right.
Who am I? How do I identify myself in this? So much going on around me. How do I create my own music?
Right.
So I think my maternal grandmother did this for me.
I love that. I love that. Great balance too. Wow. So I saw you also went to school. You have schooling background as well. So that also, do you feel that kind of grounded you, keeping you a little bit away from the streets or?
School? Not really. School was very difficult for me. I mean, because my father was so popular at the time I got to secondary school, and it was fights, very negative, because the children who didn't like my father were always in fights. Teachers who didn't like my father kind of picked on me.
Wow.
I mean, it was like 50-50, but
I believe
it
you.
was very, school was very difficult. And then Kalakuta was so party-like that it just took my mind off books. So it was difficult to concentrate in school. I preferred to be in Kalakuta partying. My father didn't care about education, so I was like, there was no, I would say, no push to make me excel in school. The
Right.
more I did badly, the happier I was. I
Wow.
probably was the only student that would get very bad marks, and your father would say, oh, well done, yes, very nice. So I think the only thing I liked about school was playing football.
Oh,
Nothing else.
kept you
Really?
fit, kept you in shape, keep you on stage going and going, you know? So what motivates you today to keep you, going, performing, even at the shrine weekly, staying, active?
I would say my children, my family, my immediate family, the shrine. When you build something like this, you are forced to perform,
Yeah.
because the way we build this place is free. We have to keep people coming. We have to keep people interested. I have to keep my band alive.
Right.
I'm more of a performing artist than a recording artist. I do
Yes.
record, of course, but I'm more of the presence.
Right.
And I live now, and everything about me is now, my
Yeah.
immediate surrounding, and this is the way I started my own life, so
Yeah.
to say, and it makes me, after the talking of my maternal grandmother to me, I have always tried to do 6 hours of practice every day.
Wow.
I still do that.
That's why you're so in shape and fit and
Sometimes I lose balance, but I've got so many people, my elder sister,
Yes.
when I start to lose focus, hey, you are losing. I mean, because I think I inspire a lot of people, and
Yes.
when they see the inspiration is kind of fading, they alert me, and I mean, it's kind of difficult at my age now.
Right.
Keep on putting the energy I still did 30, 40 years ago, and it's telling. I mean, it's physically draining. Sometimes I'm in deep thought on like, wow, how long do I have to do this? Then my children, I know I'm going to be paying school fees school fees for a long time. So that kind of
That's your motivation there too.
yes. So I have things like this around me that just says you can't stop now. Come
Right,
on, go,
right,
go.
Right, right.
And then I have a very serious, dedicated fan base at the
Yes.
shrine who I'm there for them.
Yes, that's the fuel. They definitely. So I came last year, and that was my first time ever seeing you perform, ever, and I was just in shock. Then I came the other day, and I see you again, and I was just. It's so inspiring to see you really go, and the energy you give off, how everyone intakes it, dancing, performing, putting that energy out there. It's like you want to continue, and you want to provide and show the world that what your message is. And getting into your message, I do see a lot that it is very involved with politics, and I do see the the streets of Nigeria or just Lagos generally, and how are you able to cope knowing what's going on with the government, how people are being treated, just...
We don't understand the importance of those words like independence. We get our PhD, we speak these languages so well, and then we use them to oppress ourselves.
Right.
Because we want to show off to our brothers and sisters that we are vast in these languages. So
Right.
the more big words you speak, the more you think you are intelligent, and then you look down or make fun of whoever can't speak as well as you.
Right.
Another example is when you look at the forefathers of people who fought for independence, most of them, I'll use Nigeria as an example, when they were fighting for independence, they went to ask England for permission. Why do you ask permission from who murdered your mothers, your wives, killed your fathers and brothers? Why don't you just declare, take your power?
Right.
It's yours.
Right.
Okay, let me give an excuse. Maybe they were afraid Britain will come with their forces again. Then, this makes me now think that they should have been smart. They had to outsmart the British because already the British were losing control and they couldn't control Nigeria. So the forefathers, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief Awolowo, Tafa Balewa, went to England to ask permission. They should have had a plan. For me, they should have. But they went, they were all showing off that they could speak the Queen's English better than each other. They all wanted to show they were more intelligent than each other instead of having a plan. And they went to the lion's den, so to say, to ask permission. Of course, the British knew what they were doing, so they knew how to talk to Nnamdi Azikiwe or Awolowo and make them enemies of themselves. Okay, go and hold your election. Of course, they came back, held the election, and of course, we all know the outcome of it. It was rigged or whatever. Nigeria became more chaotic, more problematic, where they shouldn't have cared who became president.
Right.
Because who cares who is president? The agenda should have been the welfare of your people.
Right. Right.
How do we all work together to make this continent the envy? How do they should have understood how Africa was caught up in 1885. They should have but they all went to school. They knew this history because they fought. They knew about Marcus Garvey. They knew about Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They knew about what was happening to Patrice Lumumba. I mean, they knew what was going on. But because of that brainwashing, so I'm trying to make you understand the gravity of the effects of slavery and colonization is what made these leaders act in that manner. So I'm not blaming them. I'm just showing you the gravity of the damage on the minds of the African people. So of course they must behave like that. The British knew they would behave like that. The British knew, or the French or the Portuguese or whoever, whatever part of Africa, they knew these people could be and are still being manipulated by their culture, their system, their education.
Right.
Now, we bring this education back into the schools of our children, which is what we have all learned, with the exception of some of us or few of Africans who now question this education or question their lives, or have got information onto some other things to say, hey, things are not right here. So you go to the Nigerian Civil War. General Gowon was trained by the British.
Right.
You go, General Ojukwu was trained by the British. So of course, they were both arrogant. They had British training. If they were African soldiers, first of all, why would you want to kill your brothers and sisters? Of course, education, the African way, will tell you that when you start a war, of course, Yoruba people had married Igbo people, or Igbo people had intermarried. We had children. So why would you want to kill your people? Why would you even want to kill? Because this will have been the African education. It will have been Pan-Africanist. And coming out of independence, understanding what we had already been through, a civil war was not the answer. They should have understood that.
Yeah.
But again, because they were trained by the British, or they had all the wrongdoings of in Nigeria, or all the wrongdoings of an African soldier, as we still do. So like I said, I still have that. So before I even have conversations with anybody, on a daily basis, I battle myself.
Right.
That where I see I'm still acting under that umbrella of fighting these forces that have put us in the predicament that we find ourselves, I try to understand and battle it. Again, I look at force like, my father never spoke to me in my language. I don't blame it. I don't blame him. I picked it up from the streets. But my children now ask me, why don't you speak to us in my language? So I know I can't do that, so I get them a teacher, and it's so difficult to make them understand that they have to speak this language. They have to think in this language.
Right.
I don't know if I'll arrive, but my eldest son, Made, is always, Daddy, speak to me. But it's so difficult to quickly tune my mind when I seem to start speaking this language. I mean, that's another training.
Right.
I have to put myself through to arrive there.
Yeah.
You see, all I'm showing you is the extent of the gravity of what colonization has done. Then when you go to the Caribbeans or America, first the Africans, they tell you sold us, so please, what do you have to say? Because that is what they have been taught.
Wow.
So we have that battle to build that bridge that, hey, you have got the wrong side of the history. Who taught you this history? The colonialists taught you this history,
Your
and
history.
you believe this history that I sold you. And then when we want to find the Africans that participated in slavery, it's so easy to trace that, because those are the kind of people that they gave power to when they handed over power back. Those were the same people that controlled the areas that they took over.
Wow.
So if you want to look for those people that participated in slave trade or were traitors of Africa,
right,
we can find them, because those are people they still let manipulate the system for them.
You're right.
For when you go to my father's time, any of the military generals, they supported all the coups. They supported coups. I think it was Prince Andrew or Edward or somebody, one of the Queen's children, who was involved in a coup somewhere in East Africa or somewhere. We know the British, we know the French, we know what they're all doing. Thomas Sankara, we know Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, we know Patrice Lumumba by the Belgians, the CIA, everybody was involved in the death of Patrice Lumumba. These are the information that are not taught to our children for them to understand the gravity of the importance of their lives today and why they must not act in a certain manner.
Wow.
So if we were brought up with this education, Africa would be very serious-minded, will not be taking so many things for granted, and Africa will be heading towards being the envy of the world. But Europe and America, now China and all these countries, are just here basically to manipulate our minds and make us the way. So when you understand this,
right,
when you understand this big politics going on, you will never be one to say, please get over it.
Yeah.
Get over 500 years How do you get over 500 years? Do you understand?
It's deeper than that.
It's so deep. I mean, look, I can't even start to imagine what went on. You know, I take the shrine, you know, I try to tell my fans that come here, even we dance here, it's why it's called the shrine. We have to honor the land, because where we're dancing and we have this great building of entertainment that is becoming world renowned. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many Africans died here?
Wow.
Passing through slavery or fighting wars, or nobody knows what happened here 1,000 years ago. So because we're having a good time doesn't mean a bad time didn't happen here.
Right.
Probably good times happened here. Of course, good times happened here before. Who knows? So, but this is our culture. Our culture teaches us to be sensitive to the land, to the atmosphere, to everything. So you see, when we're talking about climate change, for instance, Africa knew about all this.
Yeah.
We were nature friendly. Our culture was nature friendly. And now when you go back to their history, a lot of people warned Europe and America that this industrial way was going to be treacherous in 100 years. But because they were all capitalists and wanted to make money, nobody listened. Now we're facing climate change.
Wow.
But a lot of people are against automobile and saying, look, this oil and blah, blah, blah is going to cause havoc one day. So who says we couldn't have developed this? When you go into Egyptian times, many things were abandoned because if it wasn't nature friendly, why would you? We knew the sensitivity to Mother Earth.
Right. That's
so
true.
I mean, our languages tells us this. Our culture, the way we talk, the way we
the vibrations.
address. So we knew all this.
Yeah.
It is Europe and America that just came and just everything, and they didn't care. So you see, when a ship spills oil, oh, it's okay. They say, oh, we're going to clean it up. They don't tell us the gravity of that oil spill.
Right.
Then 2 ships, 3 ships, 4 ships, 5, we don't even know how many oil spills. Then the nuclear plants that have now burst into the ocean. I was hearing a story where they were, they didn't know where to keep their nuclear dirt anymore, so they were putting them under the sea. This was in the 70s or 80s, I think. They're about 70s, 80s, and they are still down. And people were against that because they were saying, what when these things start to leak under the sea?
Yeah.
So, but this is another fact that nobody has even, we have forgotten. I used to remember my mother used to talk about this because it was in the news, it was big then. And I was just thinking about it the other day. Say, wow, everybody has forgotten that there is nuclear, what they call it, dirt that they have put. There's a word for it, but I can't think of it right now, that is buried under the sea. But we could go on and on and on and on of the damage the industry, this industrial life that is not nature friendly has done. Then we praise it. Then now I was watching when Jeff and Bradson went to space and they were saying, oh, there's so much debt already in space. You see, it's okay now. Nobody's talking, but they are telling us already the atmosphere is dirty. So, but nobody is saying this is wrong.
Right.
And Africans are not taught to question and say, no, we're against this. Stop this now.
Yeah.
Like we think that the automobile, so everybody's going electric, but we are so slow in changing because our culture does not let us understand the how bad the situation is.
Yeah.
And again, maybe it's even a good thing because there'll be pandemonium if we totally understood. You know, the generators, noise pollution, that pollution. I mean, everything is so wrong, but we praise this.
Because you try to fit in and, you know.
Yeah, but we
we're
can't
told.
even, what's this? We probably can't even live without this kind of life anymore because we are all
used to it.
We have all been brainwashed into accepting it, and it's our life.
Right.
It's our life.
Right.
And to change will be, I mean, except there is a very big disastrous disaster, global disaster that will force humanity to go back. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we quickly understand when people are alerting us that, look, we have to change.
Right, right.
So
Well-
I'm just, again, I'm just showing you the gravity of where what has happened and why we act in the manner we act and why we are at
Right.
where we are now. So this motivates me to just play my little part, good music, keep people that listen to me alert and informed, because it's a big battle.
Right.
A battle that I don't think will be won in my lifetime. I definitely know it won't be won in my lifetime.
Wow.
Again, when you look at people like Malcolm X, and I mean, they had this dream. The dream was so clear, and I'm sure they thought, even my father, people should see this dream. So they went all out, even with their lives,
For sure.
and then they got killed. I'm sure they were probably in shock that, why can't people just see peace, love? Why can't they see this?
Yeah.
I was asking my son the other day, maybe we all have a wrong perception of life generally. And this God we all say, because everything is so violent.
Yes.
We want to eat, we have to kill. We kill the goat, we kill the cow, we kill the pig. Even if you don't want to eat the pigs or you don't want to eat meat, even the flowers or leaves
Right.
have life.
Yeah.
And apparently the Rosicrucians say, and my culture tells me, they cry.
They do.
So when you cut a plant, it hurts. When you cut a tree, it cries. It's just that the pitch is so high that the human ear can't hear it.
Yes.
So whichever way, it's still violent. When you go into the sea, the fish eating each other, everything is so
Non-stop.
violent. So maybe
It's like a
our
cycle.
perception, maybe in the eyes of the Lord,
Right.
this is beauty. And maybe, who knows? Because why else will
Why
this
would it?
exist?
Right.
You know, I mean, I just question so many things. I
Dang.
mean,
You
why should there be so much violence to arrive at peace?
Right.
Why is there so much violence?
It shouldn't be. There really shouldn't
Why should
be.
you see? It makes me question. Why should you say it shouldn't be?
Well,
because it is.
But
What
it
is.
is.
So maybe
It's like
this part of the universe is meant, because you see, we thought there was one universe. Now apparently there are millions of universes. We thought there was
Yes.
one planet. Now they don't even know how many.
right.
So maybe this
This universe, well, this
is meant to be like this.
like that.
So
and
if
the
it's meant to
others.
be like, if it was created to be in this dimension, who
Right.
are we
To-
as humans to question it?
You're right. Wow, that's deep. You know, I do feel like there could be some type of change because look how quick COVID came, and even to technology, to people just being more aware of their like cleanliness. It happened overnight, like literally within a year, things have, changed. So I'm not saying that we need another pandemic or anything like that, but I feel like there could be a worldly change.
If world nations, if the United Nations and all these people who are truly world leaders,
Right. It all
it
starts
will-
with people.
Yes, that is what leadership should be about.
Right.
We don't have leaders,
No.
because if we had leaders, the focal point will be end poverty. Look, when you look at hunger, it's as if these bodies want their. It's as if it's an agenda, because they never solve any crisis really.
Right.
So what is the point of all these bodies? What is the point of the supernation and all this?
Yeah.
Because you go to the Congo, it's still there. You go to Somalia, the problem is still there. Ethiopia has started again. So it's as if they just want this, and they are part of aggravating all these situations. Again, who sells the guns and bombs? They sell the guns and bombs. They sell their
Wow.
ammunition. They encourage all these things. The rich there.
Yeah, that's what
Because
it's about.
they think they are safe. And except like 9/11, then they panic.
Right.
But they are always instigating, encouraging global crisis. But if world leaders and the United Nations, if these bodies were serious and the education was strictly about love and peace, and the
Right.
agenda, the topic was We must arrive there.
Yes, yes, you're
Then
absolutely
we'll
right.
all be working towards. But because these bodies that are meant to do this don't do this, is why we are the way we are. So you see, COVID was crisis.
Right.
They can quickly put all the money, find a cure, find a. Oh, it's
Right.
not really a cure, but I mean, look how they arrived there so quickly because it was affecting their nations.
Right. Right.
So, which shows solutions can be solved, problems can be solved, sorry,
Yes.
if the human being put its mind to solve these problems, they can be solved. If all these big bodies were really not corrupt and did the jobs they were supposed to do, the world would not be in crisis today.
For sure. For sure. For sure. Absolutely. We need more of you around. We need more of you. Seriously. Now, in the 80s, you've created your band Positive Force, correct?
Yes.
What inspired you to do that? And the name, the Positive Force.
The name came from my mother, because when I left my father, I wanted to call my band the Universal Revolutionary Front.
Whoa.
And my mother thought, wow, that's too militant.
Yes.
And she said, why not just call it Positive Force, which shows
Yeah.
you are living for positive reasons.
Right, right.
I said, oh, okay. I always take my mother's advice. So my mother was very against my leaving my father. My sister, they were all scared, but I'd already made up my mind. I'm the kind of person, when I make up my mind, I just do what I want to do. And damn, whatever. I made up my mind to leave and nobody could convince me.
That's it.
So when I left and everybody was okay, so my mother said, okay, this name, I took the name. My sisters joined, my younger sister joined too, and we started the Positive Force.
Wow, wow. Now you've worked with, you're internationally known, and you've recreated the track "Water Gets No Enemy."
Water don't get enemy, yes.
Don't get no enemy. So yes, you had D'Angelo, Macy
Macy
Gray, a few
Nile
others
Rodgers.
now. How did that experience go?
It was done by a NGO that was fighting AIDS at that time. So they put the show together, and the recording happened on the day the MTV Awards was happening in New York.
Wow.
So the recording just turned to a big party because Alicia Keys, Erykah Badu, everybody, all the hip hop world, after the awards just heard we were in the studio, and they all came and the music just turned lively and we all jammed together.
I love that.
But it was put together by Red Riot NGO.
Yes. You did work with Common, Most Def, and that was Fight to Win as
Yes,
well.
Jaguar Wright as well.
Right, right. So now it really shows, like, your music really does implement, the message that we need to have spread awareness throughout the world. Don't you feel that, just by continuing to pursue that, it definitely can continue to, as just collabing with artists in general?
I am an opportunist sometimes when it comes to things like this, but I don't go out of my way. I was signed to one of the biggest labels then, Universal Music, Barclay, MCA, and I had Bang Bang Bang, Shocky Shocky album was so huge. So the next album, everybody was looking forward to it. So many of these hip hop artists knew me.
Right.
So to get them. And I saw it as a door opener for the future for African artists.
Oh.
That if I could open the door and let them see that most of what they hear about Africa was wrong.
Right.
That given the opportunity, the African will excel. And so the way I'm speaking to you was this is kind of the conversation I had with Common or Mos Def when we had, or anybody. So they knew me, the press knew me in America or Europe. This is how I was talking at that time. So I thought if I did that album, then today you see a lot of Nigerians are collaborating with Americans but I think that album really kind of opened the door to show endless possibilities of collaborations in the future.
Right.
But I did that collaboration, but it wasn't what I wanted to do forever.
Okay.
So I did the collaboration. Okay, the door is open. I have to get on with I have to get on with what I truly want to do in my life.
Right, right.
So I'm more of a very reserved person. I like I like just doing my thing. If a collaboration comes that is quite interesting, I might do, but I still want to go back to my zone.
Yes.
So I would do something with this Nigerian artist, Niniola, very nice girl, or Wizkid, or Coldplay.
Okay,
I would go out of my zone, quickly do it. It's fast, okay, blah blah blah. But I have to come back to my
home
and keep my music going.
Right.
Because this is of most importance for me. The collaborations, yes, are just a plus.
Right.
But I think I challenged myself when I left my father. The challenge was not to do as many collaborations. The challenge was to create as much music as I can in my lifetime.
Wow. How often do you record?
2-3 years, but I put like 10, 12 songs. Don't forget, the kind of music I compose is complex.
Right, right.
And it mustn't be monotonous. The rhythms must change. The melody must change. You are thinking of dynamic horn sections, and
it's like a movie.
So each track must not be identical. You can't be monotonous. So this is why my father was so great, and I knew from growing up with him that it was an enormous route or challenge, probably impossible to go there. But I challenged myself to go there. And everybody said, you will never make it.
Wow.
You will never be able to. And it was 10 years of bringing me down.
Wow.
But I just kept going. I'd rather die trying than surrender. So it brings me to where I am today.
I love that.
11 albums, I think over 150 songs. Ooh. I'm getting there.
Wow. And it's like each track is like a legit soundtrack, like a theatrical feeling.
Last Thursday, I played a song I never recorded in 1991.
Wow.
It's called Think My People Think. So I taught my band today how to play it on Thursday. And my son I didn't hear this. I said, it's 1991, you are not born there. He says, how many more like that do you have? I said, a couple. Because what happens is that we get to, when it's time to record, we always try to take the best track that we think is more important at that time. And somehow these songs got left behind. There are even a couple I can't even remember how the melody goes, and it's so annoying because I want to bring back, and I never
recorded it.
I don't write my music down, so unfortunately for me.
So the band takes off and you come.
I just tell them what to do, blah blah blah. We play it. It stays in my memory. So if you leave, it's still in my memory. I can still tell whoever comes, okay, this is the part, play it.
Wow.
And this has been the way I worked for 40 years.
Wow, intriguing. Jeez. Well, I know you're a busy man. You're about to get on, with your show. But before you do, can you leave a message? Or if someone has given you advice or just a message you want to leave for us, what's a message you can put out there?
Don't be pessimistic. Always be optimistic.
Oh.
Life is, my father used to say life is an experience. So even when you go through bad times, see it as an experience. I like to see, when you sit by the beach and you see those waves coming in, they're like obstacles. And the minute you can't overcome any, then you surrender your life.
Right.
So never surrender.
Wow.
I think what intrigues the spiritual forces that guide us is you're resilient as a human being to overcome those challenges, fear. And you see, the culture of our people was virtues, how to be tolerant, patient, how to be godlike.
Yes.
So we knew we were animals, but we knew we were better than, we were an upgrade of animals.
Wow.
So the dog cannot make a chair. So the dog can sit down, the monkey can sit down,
Yes.
but they can't make a chair
Right.
or a car or a plane. We knew we could do that. So we are human. So, but that isn't enough. Now the human has to be disciplined. And this is where we have to teach ourselves how to be patient, how to be tolerant, how to be kind. So this is what makes you godlike.
Wow.
So these are the teachings people like Moses of David came to learn in Africa when you read those books. So it is our teachings, it's in our culture, it's in, when you go too deep into my language, Yoruba, it's all there. You see, it teaches you how to become a righteous person. So my message will be, try to find those disciplines and start, because no matter how good you are as a musician, if you are not disciplined, if you don't have those qualities, then you are still seen as an animal.
Yeah. Wow.
If you are a doctor and you don't have those qualities. So when you went to school, so our education must be about having those attributes as a human being. You just don't you can come out with a PhD and still be a lousy person. So really you should be disqualified because you don't have the discipline to become a righteous person, to contribute righteously to society.
Wow.
So again, is in the classroom, for instance, Western education is me, my. My culture says our. So even we say our wife, our child, our, because we understood that if I passed, who will look after my children? So when I say my, okay, when you die, who will look after? So we said, it's not that you are sleeping with your wife's friend or whatever. It's that we were training ourselves to that community love, that we must all be concerned for everybody.
Right.
Your child is my child. I must be concerned about the welfare of your child. I must be concerned about your farm. I must be concerned about the environment. So we say our. We don't say my.
Right.
You look stupid to say my.
Yeah. Wow.
So again, in the classroom, when somebody fails, education, the African way should be, or should I say the real way of education should be, if there are 10, 20 people in the classroom, if one person fails, the whole class should fail.
Right, right.
Because how come he failed? But this education teaches that whoever fails, we used to laugh at him.
Put him to the side.
Wow, hard to decide. You are a dance, you know nothing. But really, when you look at it spiritually, you are all the failures because you failed to bring your brother or sister along.
Wow.
So you should have been concerned he or she wasn't doing well. Never failed. You all failed not to help him or her.
Right.
So you all failed. The class failed. Because he or she will probably the physician or the surgeon who will probably save your life one day. So that's why it's important to make sure we all grow up together and we all know. Because if we don't all know, it's like, can I play alone on stage?
Not at all.
I mean, and then if I wanted to play and I'd leap or sing it with the DJ,
right,
I would look kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, they really look kind of stupid, let's face it. But imagine a big band, dancers,
yes,
colors, then you get the audience gets involved.
Life.
You see a big show, the audience participates in the concert.
Yeah.
It's not a one-man show. It can never be a one-man show.
Never. Wow. Wow. I am beyond blessed to have you here in my presence and blessing us all with this opportunity. I really
think we're all blessed.
Well,
again,
it's different.
You miss the education.
No. Well, yes, we are blessing each other for sure. I want to thank you so much for taking your time out for this opportunity for me, and I really look forward to meeting you in the future again.
Hopefully, life will let us cross paths again.
Why? What do you mean? I'm sure I'll be seeing you again.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I don't think it should be. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, the meeting has been of most importance.
Yes.
Because the meeting has educated me myself.
Right.
I'm going to take lots of knowledge from the meeting.
Same here.
Because I understand I'm just a medium and I learn. Like I told you already, I learn every day. I
Right.
learn from my children. I learn from life. So if life wants us to meet again, then there is a purpose for us to meet again.
Right, right.
Maybe to just say, wow, that was a great meeting.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah,
Maybe
blah,
we
blah,
need
blah,
to
blah.
meet more and have something else. But
Who
if not,
knows?
I'll be replaying this over and over and over and manifesting. But
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a good evening.